Earth is home to many creatures. Some may even consider a few of them monsters. But what of those more elusive and hidden creatures? The ones we just can't seem to find. Welcome to Monday Morning Monsters. Cryptozoologist and paranormal researcher Barnaby Jones talks about the unknown, mythical, undiscovered, and unidentified creatures from around the world, and the people who have seen them, look for them, and research them. Hear from witnesses about their encounters, as well as renowned names in the field about their work and research. Barnaby is the founder and lead investigator for Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society based in Wisconsin. CAPS travels across Wisconsin and beyond looking for connections between different phenomena and how they can all be connected. Now, your host of Monday Morning Monsters, Barnaby Jones.
Good morning, monsters. I have a great show for you today and an amazing guest who has a laundry list of things that he has done and accomplished and started, and just it's a lot to get into, and I want to get started with that as soon as possible. But first off, I want to remind everyone we have our show On the Trail of Undiscovered Beasts. It is all streaming now on Paraflix. Paraflix is a streaming platform similar to Netflix. It is all paranormal and cryptids and unexplained stuff. It is about $3.99 a month, and you can get 10% off your first 3 months using promo code CAPS10. On the Trail of Undiscovered Beasts Season 1 is streaming now. All right. If you guys are interested in supporting our work, all of our research and so forth, show your support, wear our merch. Get your t-shirts with all of your favorite logos on it, and you can get t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, magnets, stickers, mugs, tote bags, tank tops, pillows, and more. Anything that you can imagine with our logo on it. You can head on over to our website, wisconsincaps.com. Click on Shop Our Store, or directly tpublic.com/user/Wisconsin Caps. And you can get this show along with our other podcast, Whispers from the Dark, and all of our other On the Trail of Undiscovered Beasts stuff, so you can show your support and wear those logos. And while you're online, make sure that you head on over to all of our social media platforms. We are Wisconsin Caps on Patreon, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube, and WI Caps on Instagram. You can also find standalone pages for Whispers from the Dark, my other podcast, and this show, Monday Morning Monsters. There you can find links for all of the stuff from our guests, as well as see upcoming guests and shows. All right, guys, this weekend, me and Ma, we are headed down to the Haunting at the Mill Paracon in Pickens, South Carolina, at the Hagood Mill Historical Site. It is a big 3-day event, and we are going to be there all 3 days. I will be giving a presentation along with all the other people here on this list. There is tons of great people there. It's going to be a lot of paranormal. There's going to be paranormal investigations and psychic readings and all kinds of stuff. So if you are in the Pickens, South Carolina area, come on out and check that out. And then in May, we head to the Ohio Bigfoot Conference. If you got tickets, I think it's already sold out, but we'll be there. Then we head back up here to Rhinelander, Wisconsin for the Hodag Heritage Festival, May 20th. And June 3rd, we are going back to Ohio, the first ever Small Town Monsters Monster Fest. A lot of amazing people at this event as well. If you guys are interested in anything cryptozoology or stuff, that is where you're going to find it. And then we will be at the Marinette Menominee Bigfoot and Paranormal Convention, sponsored by Paraflix and American Ghost Walk Tours and Ravenwood Gardens. This is June 9th and 10th in Marinette, Wisconsin. And June 17th, we are coming to Chicago at the Chicago Paranormal Convention. And then I think this is August. We go to MI Paracon in Sault Ste. Marie. And then back down to South Carolina in September. And Glen Beulah, Wisconsin, September 22nd, 24th, the Great Lakes Paranormal Conference. And finally, Cryptid Con. We are going back to Cryptid Con in Lexington, Kentucky, and that is November, the week before Thanksgiving. Awesome. All right, guys. Good morning to everyone in there. I see a lot of people commenting already. Thanks for watching. And all right, let's get into this. So my guest today is a lot of firsts. The first person to get video footage of a giant squid. He is the creator and producer of Monster Quest, the creator of Untold Radio AM, and also Hanger One Publishing. So all kinds of stuff, and I'm missing a bunch, and I'm sorry, but there's a lot. I could do the whole show talking about that. So with no further ado, please welcome Doug Hajicek.
Barnaby, how are you?
Good. I am great. How are you doing, Doug?
I'm doing good. It's been 2 years since we've chatted.
Absolutely, yeah.
What was it? Para Unity.
Para Unity and the Minnesota Bigfoot Conference.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you weren't at your booth much that day. I didn't get a chance to talk to you much, but we were there.
Yeah, I was taking reports, I think.
Yeah. You were, every time I saw you, you were running back and forth with your phone, and you're a busy guy, man. You are a busy guy. I mean, you have just a laundry list of things that you have done. Like I said, we could talk about it all day. What do you want to talk about? Like, you have Untold Radio, you have all kinds of shows on there. You have Hanger One Publishing. You know, what have you been doing lately? What's your big projects?
Well, I've been obviously doing a lot of book publishing. We've got a lot of new Bigfoot books coming out. Just came out with the Freeman Files book. Have you seen that?
I did. I actually have a copy. I pre-ordered it.
Cool.
And I had Michael Friedman on the show a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Well, that book is cool because we've incorporated a lot of videos and audio in the book, in the print book. So you can, listen to Paul Freeman's diary. His whole diary took over, many years. So it's kind of cool. But been working on Legend Meets Science pre-production. We're still trying to get that thing off the ground. It's a huge project.
Absolutely.
And then COVID delayed it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up, working with some other people that kind of let me down a little bit. Not going to mention their names. And then I had IMAX interested in, possibly doing it. So that caused, like a 6-month delay. And now we're right back to where we started, but we have far more evidence to analyze. Mm-hmm. So there's always a good side.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
man. So for people who aren't familiar, let's start back at Sasquatch Legend Meets Science 1. Can you tell everybody just like basically what it was, your idea for it, and how that?
Well, yeah. Okay. So I was up in the Arctic, and I was up there, doing another TV show on wildlife, and we came upon footprints that came out of the water. Went up into up through the sand. Up in the Arctic is very sandy. Up into the sand and the pea gravel and then the moss. But really what changed my whole life was there was a footprint in front of a tree trunk and then one directly behind it of a stunted black spruce tree, which means this humanoid stepped over the tree, a 7-foot tall tree. So you can only imagine sitting there scratching my head, including the people I was with, and going, what in the world happened here? This thing, it was clear it stepped over the tree. And so that was kind of a life-changing moment, and the tracks just they went off into the horizon, literally. So I got back and started pitching TV shows because I wanted to get information out. So we ended up finally selling Legend Meets Science. It was me and Matt Moneymaker sold Legend Meets Science to Discovery Channel, and did that, and then went on to produce the first Bigfoot series ever, which was Mysterious Encounters for the Outdoor Life Network, and that had never been done before. And so, you can imagine doing the first Bigfoot series. There's nobody to copy. Mm-hmm. So I kind of invented a whole genre of, shows by all this high-tech gear, a crew. We had a motorhome, and we just drove from location to location. Matt was in that show, Autumn Williams, and even Bobo was in that show on numerous episodes. So you can see how that kind of created the foundation for this kind of craze we got going on now.
Absolutely. So the Legend Meets Science, the first one, as I said,
Yep.
like, was groundbreaking with the stuff that you guys were doing back
Well, it
then.
was, yeah, sure. It was science. Just that's all we did. So I went to all these different scientists and I said, okay, we're going to give you evidence, but you have to give us a solid conclusion, not a wishy-washy, it either proves it or it doesn't. So it's fine, whatever you want to conclude. And so then we ended up really getting all these positive conclusions, except for the DNA. Was the one that was kind of, didn't really work out. But that aired, and, it's still very relevant today. We did stuff with the Patterson film you've never seen, footprints, the first time anybody had done anything with fingerprints, the friction ridges, the bottom of footprints. So in Legend Meets Science 2, we're going to kind of pick up where that one left off. We're going to go deeper into the friction ridges and even the sweat pores. We're going to go into electron microscope scans of casts to show these things cannot be faked. I mean, who would have thought of putting sweat pores in a fake cast back 30, 40 years ago? Just wouldn't have ever occurred to anybody. So we've got basically 24 new categories, and I mean brand new categories of evidence and evidence to go into those categories. So it should be pretty groundbreaking. And I'm hoping it kind of, it puts the soccer ball down the field a little bit more. It won't prove, as you know, unless we have, 10 bodies piled up, it's not going to prove anything. But it will move the goalpost, closer to us. So
I want to ask you a question that is really bothered me,
Sure.
that you have these creatures that, we have the fossil record for and all that, and we have these bones and we can prove these creatures existed, as far as science is concerned.
Yeah, at least something very similar, sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we have the Gigantopithecus.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that we have is a tooth, and I think there's possibly like a jaw now.
Yeah, it's jaw fragments. Yep.
Yeah. So why, in your opinion, why do we have a Gigantopithecus? Everyone, thinks it's real, knows it's real. We have all this scientific documentation of how it lived, where it lived, everything, based on just a tooth. But science, general science, is not willing to accept the Bigfoot topic. We have hair that hasn't been, identified, just like a tooth.
Right. Yep.
Where's the disconnect there?
I don't really know. I think it's just disbelief. It just can't be. It just couldn't be an animal living in our forest, that we don't see. Because I love the argument. I hear this all the time. If they were real, we'd see them once in a while. And I'm like, what? We have 10,000 documented sightings and new ones every single week. What do you mean? We would see them. We do see them. And it's kind of like they're saying, well, I would see them. Well, you're not looking. Go out and look, and you probably would. What's cool, every other Thursday, I do meet with a group that Amy Boo put together, Project Zoobook, which is a whole bunch of scientists that are actually looking into the mystery, once again, unfunded, anonymous, so they can't really do much, but they're interested based on either their own experience or based on them just hearing enough anecdotal evidence to think this has got to be real,
Mm-hmm.
So Project Zoobook is to me a crack in the whole thing. And I really do think that projects like Legend Meets Science 2 that will be funding a bunch of new forensic tests on new categories will help get more scientists involved. And eventually, one of them is going to have enough guts to get a grant to professionally go after these things, to gather evidence, whether it's DNA evidence or body or whatever. But somewhere down the line, it's going to happen. I think it's going to be sooner than later. I mean, look at the cameras, Barnaby, we have now. We have cameras that can see in the dark with just these really quick ISO shutter speeds. I mean, that's a game changer right there. Just that. I can take a camera with for $3,000 now and go in pitch dark and film color photos and video, not thermal footage. That's really what is thermal footage going to prove? But absolute, close up, zoomed in. So I've got use of a Sony A7 camera, 400 millimeter lens on it. That's a dangerous piece of equipment there, because if I see something, I can zoom in and get some really nice tripoded footage of it, and it's not even going to know I'm there, because I could be a quarter mile away. I mean, literally, I can zoom in that close. That's the kind of tools that are going to solve this mystery.
Absolutely. And I don't want to touch on anything that you don't want to, so just stop me if we get into anything weird. But I know we had talked also about you have a whole project with very, very small cameras running all over in the woods.
Sure.
How is that going? Can you tell us about that?
Well, it was an interesting project. We've taken it down for the winter, then we'll be reinstalling it. I think we're actually going to reinstall it somewhere in West Virginia this summer. And it was 8 cameras that are fully powered, that use artificial intelligence, that then beam everything to the cloud, but they're running all the time. They're not just like, there's no passive sensor, and they're tiny and they're hidden. For instance, one would be hidden and a little hole drilled in a no trespassing sign that's been there for 50 years, and you mount a little camera behind it. And now you've got that element of surprise. Nobody can say, oh, it'll notice the camera. Really? It's a hole. I don't think so. Well, the first night actually on that system, I watched a family of Bigfoots walk by that camera. I don't know what else it could have been, because it locked on every one of their joints, and they were just a little out of the IR range, but it did know, and I could see the profile. It was a big one, and then a smaller one, and then another smaller one. But it was the first night we had put up the cameras, and we hadn't even hooked it up to the cloud yet. And we hadn't even put the memory cards in the cameras. And I happened to be, they also have a speaker on them, and I was beaming out the Moorhead, the Ron Moorhead sounds, the Sierra sounds out of this one camera. And so, I don't know, and we saw a lot of weird stuff all year, documented a ton of wildlife. Some things that could be a Bigfoot, like a hand, a fist, an arm, things like that, but never anything that was full body. But we're not going to give up. We're going to do it again.
If I remember right, that was in Minnesota, right?
Yeah, it was in Minnesota, right? Yep. Yep. And Adam Colt was pretty much the tech guy that did all the work. And really, I mean, he just did everything. I just provided the location and, kind of the support for it. But we're going to work together again and get another private property set up, because it needs to be private property, because we have to run long power cords and then bury them.
Mm-hmm.
So these things can be powered. So there's no battery changing. You don't have to disturb the camera again. But for instance, like a camera would look like a mouse on a branch. We've had owls attack them and eagles. So we know that they're a good disguise.
So when we're talking about small cameras, how big are these cameras that you're using?
Like 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches.
Okay.
So they're tiny. Mm-hmm. Easy to disguise. Real easy.
Very cool.
Anybody can get this stuff. Camera systems are getting smaller and better, and a lot of them are now using AI. So you can literally even set it up so I don't even want to be notified for deer. Just notify me for any human-like objects. And that's what's really cool about the AI, programmed cameras. So you're not getting, ding, ding, ding on your phone all the time,
Lee has a question. Can you solar power them instead of having them powered, or is that how you're transmitting the data?
No, you can solar power anything. I've set up like my bear cam, where I filmed the first birth of a black bear. That was all solar powered. But basically, then you've got to keep, like in the northern climates, you've got to keep the batteries warm, 12-volt batteries. You have to have not just one, you got to have a whole bank of them. You got to keep the solar panels free of snow. And You have to keep them clean, and it's very expensive. So, I'm not trying to discourage anybody from doing that, but generally you're going to want cameras far away, from any big objects. And that's why we like to do it, the way we've been doing it, where we just kind of, plug and play and you can forget about it. Then you can just leave everything. Because with a solar powered system, you're going to have to go and you're going to have to maintain that stuff. You're going to have to bother the forest. But yeah, you can get a 200 amp or a 200 watt solar power system with a controller and batteries on Amazon. These smaller 12 volt batteries that are sealed. It can be done. Absolutely. I've just done so much of it and it's such a pain in the butt.
I think another reason why, and I don't want to speak for you, but another reason is that's a lot more stuff out in the woods.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You're trying to be very discreet and hidden. You want that very small camera, like you said, and that's another reason why you wouldn't want, because solar panel, technology's come a long way, but you're looking at, like you said, 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. I don't think that solar power is going to put out, the solar panel is going to put out enough energy to run your camera at that size. So,
right. When you do solar panels, you have to do a buffer where they're charging batteries. So then you need a controller to up convert or down convert the power from the solar panels through the controller into the 12 volts. So you're charging the 12 volt, and then you're putting out the 5 volts or whatever the cameras run on. You got to dial in the voltage. So it can be done. It's just pain in the butt.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I know one of the places that we do research, we put up solar panel trail cameras and we run them all winter because then I don't have to get out there and change the batteries and stuff. Even that,
right.
My trail camera is this big and then my solar panel's this big and it's got a wire stuck to the tree and it's very it's conspicuous. It stands out.
Yeah, right. Yep.
It's good for just monitoring and stuff, but
yeah, they're all good, but I really do like, for instance, you can get a motorcycle dash cam system. Mm-hmm. Comes with 2 small IR cameras that go from color during the day to IR at night. They're about 1 inch, in diameter, and you get 2 of them. But now you can get a tub, a Tupperware tub, bury the monitor, have just the wires coming out of the ground, 2 of them to 2 different areas, maybe 12 foot away from where the tub is buried. And then you can power that and you can bury that in the tub as a lithium battery because the motorcycle dash cams come with a USB adapter. So you can power those 2 cameras with one 5 volt USB. So then you can buy like an e-bike battery. It puts out 48 volts, 52 volts, but they'll have get one with a USB port on it. So then you can plug the thing into the USB port. Now you've got something that might run 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And those 2 microscopic cameras, and they could be like aimed straight up from the ground. They could be disguised as a leaf. You could do all sorts of cool things. You could drill a hole in a tree and have the camera flush with the bark of the tree. So a system like that, say $300 for a battery, $199 for the thing. So for $499, you've got 2 cameras, 3 months, but they're microscopic. They're the opposite of the camera you're using, Barnaby. Mm-hmm. They're non-conspicuous. So is it worth the investment? Are you going to get anything? I don't know. You know what I mean? It's who knows, but you're definitely not going to get anything if you don't try.
That's 100%.
That's guaranteed. Yeah.
That was one of Lee's earlier comments up here too. You can't see Bigfoot if you're sitting on your couch 24/7.
Exactly.
People aren't seeing them. Well, you're also not going out and looking for them.
Yeah. So I just think I'm really hoping people take me up on this motorcycle system, and it's a system made by Blue Sea Sky. Get them on Amazon. Blue Sea Sky, all one word. Motorcycle dash cam. And once again, you can buy an e-bike battery with a USB port. And they can be big, but you can bury it in a waterproof tub. That's the beauty. And you can hide everything, underground. and they just have the two fiber optic wires coming out of the camera or out of the ground into those two cameras that can be totally hidden.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's another thing you reminded me of here. You like I said, you have your hands in everything. You also have e-bikes that you make, correct?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Yeah. What?
Yeah,
Tell me a little
and
bit about
I just make them for research, usually just for myself. And I've been kind of obsessed in making them because I keep perfecting them and making them better and better and better and better. To now, I can't even really figure out any way I can improve them. I built one for Todd Neese.
Okay.
Which is probably the best e-bike in the entire world that he's purchased. And so I'm just kind of doing them for cost for some researchers. And yeah, they're pretty amazing. I mean, they'll climb a steep hill because they have a true transmission. They have every possible comfort so you can actually use the damn thing. You've got built-in cameras, front and rear, built-in audio, front and rear, built-in GPS. You've got a lot of built-in features, really comfortable seat, really amazing headlight, it just got every possible thing you can think of that you would need to spend extended time, and they're long range, plus, you can get them up to, 40 miles an hour if you want.
That was going to be my question. How fast do they go? I saw a couple
yeah.
of them for sale and they go like 20 miles an hour. And I mean, I don't know how fast you really need to go, especially on, back dirt roads and stuff that are pretty bumpy. But
Well, you don't need to go fast, but it's nice if you have that just in case there's a problem. But generally, you're going to want a mid-drive that you can actually use the shifter as the transmission. Because if you just get a hub drive and you live in a mountainous area, you're going to burn that hub out. It's going to, what we call peanut butter the gears. So, which is why I build mid drives, because they're actually powering the chain versus just the wheel. So that way you use the gears, and then I add an electronic gear sensor so it'll shut the motor off for that 1.5 seconds while you're shifting. So you don't tear your gears out, your derailleur out. And so you shift it smooth as butter, and you can just kind of like a motorcycle, If you need to climb a steep hill, you put it in gear 1 and up you go. You've got almost 300 Newton meters of torque. I've got the torque on some of these things I'm putting out that's equal to a Corvette.
And they got to be quiet too. I mean, like, you're saying, well, why wouldn't you buy like a dirt bike or something and go out there? But that's
there's no noise, zero. There's nothing other than the tires in contact with the trail. Well, here's the beauty though. You come to a log, which we often do, a down tree, you just lift it right over. Where a dirt bike, you can't do that. I mean, nobody can lift an 800-pound dirt bike, but a 65-pound e-bike, you can just pick it up with one hand and throw it over the log, and away you go again.
Very cool. Now, you said you're just making these for like people who ask and stuff. You don't sell them like on a website?
I'm not. Yeah, no, I'm not in the business. My goal was just to try to build the perfect thing, and it's just something I get obsessed with, and I've developed a number of products. So I'm interested in that, and I have developed a few products like a kickstand adapter that you couldn't put on these bikes because there's no place to install them. So I came out with a CNC kickstand adapter. It's just one example for these, because I use these fat tire bikes because it's like floating on air. They act like suspension. Those thick 26-inch, 4-inch wide tires are amazing. I mean, they're bigger than motorcycle tires. So you get a lot of traction. You get, So it's always, once again, it's not something I do for a living. It's just something I'm obsessed. It's a hobby, I guess.
Absolutely.
And expensive. Kind of like your hobby's traveling to conventions, Barnaby. It's like, we're not making money doing it. Okay.
No, absolutely not.
That's just something we do out of love. Yeah.
See, I didn't have a major TV platform and, the years of experience and stuff that you had to get my name out there. So I have to go and do the legwork by foot to all these conventions.
Well, yeah, you're doing a good. Well, that's where we met. You're doing a good job.
Yeah. I met you at the very first convention I ever went to.
Yeah. But what's funny is that, those things are not cheap to do.
No. No, they're not.
They're real expensive. Like it's thousands and thousands of dollars, between your food, your gas, and your hotels. And, sometimes you'll get paid a small honorarium to speak, but, it's like, okay. So now I'm only 6,000 in debt from attending that conference,
Absolutely. And the worst thing about the conventions, not even the money, is, it takes time out of our research.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Because that's at the end of the day, that's what I do, for all this stuff. I wouldn't be going to the conventions if I didn't have, the product to talk about. That's why I do, to be completely honest, the only reason I do these podcasts is to get, great people like you on here to be able to talk to you and, pick your brain on stuff. I don't care if anybody listens to this. I don't care if anybody watches it, but it gives me the excuse to say, hey, I can talk.
There you go. Sure. There you go. Well, that's the way to look at it. And that's actually when good things come to you. When you're when the reason you're doing something is to learn, that's when the universe comes along and helps you out, because you're doing it just to learn. You're doing it out of curiosity, just to satisfy your own learning, which is why I like doing TV too, because I get to meet scientists and I get to learn. I get to do different tests. I don't ever go, oh, I want to do a TV show. No. I want an excuse to get my stuff tested.
Absolutely.
I'm in the same boat.
All right, man. We have to take a quick break for station identification here. Our commercial today is Ellie Weisensell, and she is a member of the CAPS team. Really good. She does a lot of great work. Check out her commercial here, and we'll be right back with more of Doug Hajicek from Monster Quest, and the list goes on and on. If you have any questions, make sure you get them in the comments, and we'll be right back after this.
The Body Code is a revolutionary method of energetic healing developed by Dr. Bradley Nelson, which allows us to quickly and easily identify specific imbalances that seem to underline chronic ill health, acute and chronic pain and discomfort, dysfunction, and stress. Ellie energetically connects with the subconscious of the client. Psychic medium Ellie Weisensell is a medical intuitive and energy healer and a certified body code practitioner. She identifies and clears energetic imbalances within the body and energy field. Contact Ellie at the website below, and Ellie can work remotely from a distance, by phone, online, video chat. There's no need to travel to an office. Remember, the Body Code is safe for humans and animals. Contact Ellie today.
All right, guys, we are back here live with Doug Hajicek. Oh man, Doug, I've heard you on a lot of podcasts, and when I do my shows, I try not to repeat a lot of the same stuff that other people have had. But you've been a pioneer in all of this stuff. I mean, like I said, you got the first footage of a giant squid. You've done, wasn't it the first person to put a camera in a beaver lodge, right?
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. And
we got documented the world's first mammals cohabitating, which is muskrats and beavers. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, I highly recommend anybody goes and checks out all of your other podcasts and stuff. And I've seen your presentation a couple times now as well at the events that I went to. And, I think I told you when I first met you that, all these people, like, this is my showing my age, but, all the people that have got into this business and that have said, well, I grew up watching, Leonard Nimoy In Search of and everything. And for me, it was Monster Quest and Josh Gates, sorry. But that's where I started watching all about these different creatures. And
right.
that's where my interest really got sparked. And
yeah, well, Monster Quest, it's kind of cool because when it was airing, it really wasn't appreciated. For some reason, just, people are like, oh, they didn't find anything, even though we actually did in many episodes. But it didn't seem appreciated. You would never think of reading comments. But now, as time has gone on, people are going, damn, that was a good series. And the reason it was good is only because I wanted answers. I wasn't just producing a show. It was a passion. It was produced out of passion for wanting to get answers. And that shows. And that will make that show timeless because of that. There's a purity in just wanting to get answers versus, let's just produce a TV show to try to make money. There's a difference.
Absolutely. I get ridiculed for my show. I don't know if you've ever watched any of my documentaries and stuff that we have on YouTube, but people say, well, it's filmed with a GoPro, or it's, like this or that, and it's not professional. Well, I'm not out there to make a show. I'm out there to do the work and the research. And if you want to watch what I'm doing and see the evidence that I've got, this is how you're going to see it. And we have moved on. We actually have a videographer now as well that follows us around and videotapes us while we're doing all this as well. So we've come a long way since, we started. But the first thing is we went out and just started researching, and we got evidence, and we're like, well, now what do we do with it? And that's,
it's cool that you're sharing it. I mean, that's very cool that you're sharing it. So it's the public can be pretty harsh, at the time. So just keep doing what you're doing. Do it because you want to share. You never know when you're going to have the perfect storm happen, and you're going to do something that no one can repeat for 50 years.
Yeah.
You're not going to have that happen. If Gimlin and Patterson wouldn't have been out that day, they wouldn't have got it. But, people, even Bob thought, when I talked to Bob Gimlin, one of the things I thought was the funniest is he goes, heck, we just thought we could just go out and redo this again. Like every weekend we could go get more footage. And even when I did the giant squid, that's been tried now over and over and over. And maybe 50 years will go by before anybody gets any giant squid in its natural habitat. They're not dumb animals. And so it's just one of those things that, you got to get out there, you got to do it. You get lucky, great.
I was, like I said on the show earlier, or before the show, I listened to the Bigfoot Influencers podcast, and you were talking about the giant squid footage that you got. And I have a question for you is, how do you say that you got this length of this giant squid. So you have a camera that's filming under the water.
Right.
And obviously you have no tape measure down there. So can you tell me kind of like how you determined how big that was based on this video footage?
Okay, so that gets based on, it's basically an AI program, even back then, that Peter Schmitz had. He was a photo analyst. And so he gets the camera lens dimensions, and then he triangulates something, and then he just takes his software. He can just measure, down to accuracy of a 1/2 inch. And he said the eye was like 1.5 feet wide. Biggest eye ever photographed, Yeah. So it's kind of cool. So that's kind of my league. You can tell when something's big, there's a frequency to things. If you were to see a fox that was 12 foot tall and you filmed it in an area where it was in front of a bunch of trees, you would kind of know it was just a big animal. And right away when we saw that footage, we knew it was the biggest squid ever photographed or filmed. You could just see it, Yeah.
Well, with the Patterson Gimlin, I mean, again, with that, they're talking about the lens and the speed of the camera and stuff. They can figure that out. But you also have trees and rocks and stuff. I mean, rocks are only so big. Trees are only so big. You can kind of gauge that. But when we're talking about something that's under the water, when you don't have
we did. We had our squid in front of it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So there was your reference.
You do have a frame of reference then. Okay.
Yeah, there was a frame of reference. Yep.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen the footage of it. I've just heard about it.
Oh, you haven't?
No,
I'll get you a link, Barnaby, and you can look at it yourself.
I will watch it. Yeah, I know. Like you talked about in your presentation, and then on the other podcasts and stuff. But yeah, I've never seen the video of it.
Plus, in the History Vault, they've now, I think it was last year, maybe the year before, 2020, they created a whole new 2-hour special on that footage capture, and so it's called Predators of the Deep. and it's a 2-hour special in the History Vault. And I think you can sign up for a free streaming trial, I guess, one of those deals. Give me your credit card number, but they won't use it.
Yeah.
And then you can cancel it anytime.
Yeah, those things.
But it's in the History Vault. It's 2 hours. I recommend people watch that if they're interested in it.
Definitely. Let's see. There it is. So question, Doug, if you could do any show, no budget. I assume that means any budget, not no budget. What would you do?
Just what I'm working on. Literally, Legend Meets Science too. And we don't really know what this is going to end up costing us. So we're kind of going in blind faith. What we've done recently, in fact, I have the big signing meeting tomorrow at my office where we've partnered with a company that has a lot of 8K equipment. And so we have 4 red cameras, if you know what they are. They're like the best cameras in the world. And so we've partnered with somebody that's got all the jibs and the cameras and the gimbals and all the things that we need to shoot this really well, because I really want this doc to be the best Bigfoot show and doc ever filmed in history. It's got to be the best on every level: quality, the content, the science, just everything. And so that I can walk away, not do anything else as long as I live, and be content that we gave it our all. So tomorrow is actually our contract signing meeting for Legend Meets Science too.
Awesome. Can't wait. Lee also says good luck on your meeting. Positive vibes. So I know also you had talked about on the other show that you have Jeff Meldrum again, who will be writing a companion book as well to this one. I know I have the copy of Legend Meets Science, the book from Meldrum.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, it is probably like the textbook right now. Anything and that you ever want to know about, the Patterson-Gimlin subject, and that just way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a almost 400-page book, science book on the topic. I'm very proud of the book because, as Legend Meets Science was the backbone for the book, as will the new one be the backbone for Legend Meets Science 2 book. The only difference is I was teasing Jeff, and I'm like, Jeff, I get to publish it this time.
Yeah, I was going to say, Hanger One Publishing.
I got literally not even a penny. I gave all my royalties to Jeff on the first book and the other publisher. I just gave it all up, the title, to use the name. But this one, I'm hoping to have a little bit of that money go back into research by me publishing, which will allow us to put videos and audio in the print book. So Legend Meets Science 2 print book will be amazing.
Oh, man. So I did talk to Michael when I had him on a couple weeks ago about the book, and I wondered from your standpoint, while I got you here, where did that idea come from? I mean, that is like, I know, like, they used to have the books where you could press a button, the cow goes and then moo.
Well, that's where I got the idea. Yeah.
But, so
that's exactly where I got the idea. Yeah. So what I'm good at, Barnaby, is combining existing technologies.
Yes.
So if I go, I want to create a laser measuring lens. I didn't create the lens and I didn't create the laser, but I'm really good at figuring out how to combine them as a laser measuring lens, for instance. But I always ask myself, why didn't anybody else think of combining those two technologies? And so I do this kind of on a weekly, daily basis, where I'm constantly taking two or three or sometimes 4 technologies and combining them into one package. For instance, I'm sitting on a new invention, which is a holographic camera lens. And it can be used for medical, it can be used for just a ton of things, making movies. But I didn't invent the lens or the holographic system. I'm just combining the two. No one had ever thought of combining them into one package. So that's what I do, and that's, once again, is what you're experiencing with the book, is taking, standard like QR system, and then print, just a print book, and why not combine them and have it so you can see video and audio on every page or every chapter, and do this with a lot of different books. Yeah, it's more work for us. Yeah, you're darn right. And yeah, did I have to buy a $20,000 server? Yep. And did I have to do this? And yeah. Lots of things you have to do because you have to make sure you can house the video and audio yourself, archive it yourself, because otherwise, if someone goes to watch a video that's in a print book and it goes, oh, video is no longer available, that's not going to work, right? So we got to make sure that we have it forever. So 20 years from now, 100 years from now, somebody can go to that video and they can watch it in the print book.
How many times are you reading a book or something and there's a web address or
doesn't work?
link
Yeah,
and
link.
it's
It's
been
bull
gone
crap.
for 20 years. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep, that's bull. So it's been a big investment, but we're doing this with a lot of different books now. So we're the only company doing it. The other thing we're working on is combining augmented reality into books too. So it's coming too.
Wow. Cool.
So I've been working. I do a lot of stuff with augmented reality and holographs. So once again, I didn't invent either technology. I'm really good at figuring out how to combine them.
As you're talking there, I'm thinking about these holograms and stuff. There's so many like Bigfoot museums and stuff around the country, and that you have Cliff Barrickman's and you have Bigfoot Expedition Bigfoot and on and on. Have you ever talked to anybody, or just an idea to throw out there is you could make a hologram or a 3D Patterson Gimlin.
Yeah. I actually have offered it.
Walk up and stand next to her and watch her walk past you and stuff. I
can actually do it pretty reasonable too for probably, I don't know, $2,500 in equipment. We could have a life-size holographic Bigfoot.
Wow. That's really cool. Technology has come so far, from. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know, like look at just cartoons and stuff, the flip books and stuff of that. And, now you got all the AI and CGI and all that stuff that,
Barnaby, we have no idea what's coming because we can't even fathom it. That's awesome. I've been using AI already for quite a long time. And the stuff that's going to come down because of bad people is going to blow our minds. The stuff that's going to come down because of creative people is going to blow our minds. It's all going to just really be a different world in a year. It's like we all just pass through another dimension because this is getting out to the masses, to where a guy like you who maybe hasn't done a certain thing and suddenly do it. You can unleash your questions into the AI world. You'll be able to do animations you couldn't do before because you didn't feel like going through 3 years of animation school. Well, the AI will do it for you, just on a prompt. So welcome to the new world, everybody.
It's scary.
It's going to be scary and amazing and wild, but I think it'll be a little more scary than we all think.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I want to flip here, and I want to ask you something that I don't think you've ever, like in the time that I've heard you talk and stuff. What are your thoughts on like the paranormal?
Oh, I'm a big believer in the paranormal. I had a wake up call when I was a kid. I can tell you a quick story. So I was probably about maybe 9 years old, 8 years old. And I was building a car model in my bedroom, and I had to pee. I was holding it, trying to get my little piece and glue to dry for a second. All of a sudden, I burst up because I couldn't hold it anymore. I went to the bathroom. We had one bathroom in the home I grew up in. Of course, the door's locked and closed, the dreaded someone's in there. So I knocked on the door and I heard a man's voice, "I'll be out in a minute." I thought it was my dad. Doorknob, you hear the light switch click, you hear the doorknob click, the lock pop out of the door, and the door swung open. There was nobody in the bathroom.
Wow.
And I remember running around the corner because there was nobody upstairs. And all of a sudden I remembered they were all downstairs sketching out where the bedrooms, they were going to refinish the basement. So my two little brothers, my mom and dad, and my sister were all down in the basement. So I, of course, fell down the stairs. Well, that was my first, face-to-face with the paranormal. And so those things humble you.
Yeah.
And you realize, even at a young age, like, I guess you can't always expect what you can expect. Things are not necessarily what you think. And so it's opened up a whole new world for me, And of course, when I told my parents that, they didn't doubt me. They supported when I told them what happened, they totally supported me. And I felt they actually, when somebody says they do, but they're kind of winking behind your back. No, I could tell my parents actually were concerned. Like, oh, was a scary thing. And it happened, and we'll be on the lookout, for whatever entity is in our house. And nothing else really happened in that house, except one time me and my sister smelt sulfur, which is a weird thing. Parents were gone. We were home alone. And we smelled the sulfur that I would smell and she couldn't. She could smell it and I couldn't. And we thought, well, we better look in the house. And so we wandered the whole house looking for the smell, thinking maybe there's a fire burning. We walked down the basement, and here come two big flaming, sparking orbs that flew in front of us and then hit the wall. And then, literally a shower of sparks on the floor. And of course, we ran up the stairs. Once again, it was another uneventful. I mean, the things didn't attack us or anything, but what in the world did we see? And why? I've never seen it again. So to me, the paranormal is really weird because often it cannot be controlled. Just because you see something once doesn't mean you're ever going to see it again. Enjoy the discombobulation of your brain, because I think what that discombobulation does is it makes us more curious. It makes us smarter on one level, even though we have no answers. But I think it makes us more curious, which then raises our intelligence level. Don't you agree? People that you meet who are involved or into the paranormal are actually far more intelligent than people that go, that just couldn't be, couldn't be. Closed-minded people.
I was going to say, it opens your mind, well, if that just happened, that changes your whole frame of reference. It changes your whole perspective. Well, if that's real, what else is real? And then you start diving into this stuff.
Yeah. So my viewpoint is I'm completely open to anything. Literally, things I can't even imagine I'm open to.
So with that in mind, we talked a lot about your technology that you've worked on and stuff. Where do you see that falling into the paranormal? Like, if you were going to do Sasquatch Legend Meets Science with the paranormal, where would you take the technology and what kind of things would you do with that?
Well, we are on the very last chapter of Legend Meets Science 2, which would be at least a 2-hour film, maybe 3 hours. We are going to explore things that people talk about. Well, one way we can explore them are with different types of EMF meters, things like acoustimeters and things that can sense. And we have been experimenting a little bit, and there may be something to it. I can only really trust what I see with my own eyes. I'm open to everybody's experiences, but like my son, for instance, on his last expedition, brought a digital EMP meter, did a wood knock. The EMP meter pegged and stayed pegged the entire time until the sun came up. Well, I wished he would have had 2 of them, because then you could rule out, a malfunction. Certainly could you rule out any EMP because they're in the middle of nowhere. Did you freeze or did I?
You muted. I don't know. You muted.
Oh,
excellent. You hit mute. And I thought you were going to cough or something. I was waiting. And
no, I was probably just
muted.
I'm ADHD boy. I was just playing with my mouse.
I know how that goes.
Fidgeting, yeah, just click on and
out
off.
of a thing before.
That's hilarious.
Oh man, yeah. On that topic, we did a lot. Like I've told you, we do a lot of research up in Upper Michigan at the Hayden Adventure Site. We talked about that and
yeah.
One of the things that happened was Craig Salk, the property owner, ended up having thyroid cancer, and he passed away almost 2 years ago now because
I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah.
Thank you. And we took I have a Geiger counter, and we took it around the property to see if there was any correlation with the property or anything like that. And obviously not anything dangerous, but there's regular background radiation and stuff. And there was a very small spikes of radiation around significant areas on the property where we've had Bigfoot. And
yeah, the paranormal could be dangerous. We don't know that. I mean, there could be danger. I was watching something on TikTok where Tucker Carlson had come forward and said that he had talked to somebody in some Harvard guy who was investigating brain injuries on people who had contact with UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, that was out. And it's that kind of stuff that's kind of mind blowing. Like, yeah, maybe these things are dangerous. Maybe orbs are very dangerous. Maybe we just don't know. We don't know anything. Absolutely. So yeah, keep that in mind.
Well, yeah. So I mean, man, we could talk all day. There's so much to cover here in that.
Oh, there's no end because you and I both know we're both interested in damn near everything. So yeah, we can just stay on this for the next 3 days.
That's right. So if there's any other questions for Doug directly, please put them in the comments. We have a couple minutes left here of the show. Get them in there and we'll get to them as best we can. Otherwise, Doug, what do you got coming up? What do you want to promote? How can people get a hold of you? What's your radio? All that stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, we have the Untold Radio Network that's got, I think there's 10 shows now. Wide Open Research, Bigfoot Influencers, Down South Anomalies, Pine Island Research, and then my show, Untold Radio AM. There's more. I just can't think. My mind went blank. They're going to kill me. Terrible. But to make a long story short, you can go to YouTube and just go to the Untold Radio Network. And so we're kind of new on YouTube, but our subscriber base is going. I think we're about getting ready to hit 3,000 subscribers in a pretty short time, and we're just going to keep growing the network. And then of course Hangar One Publishing. If you're interested in some of these books we talked about with the immersive book technology that we talked about, you can go to Hangar One and you can go to my Facebook page if anybody wants to get a hold of me. Doug Hajicek, and I don't know. I got lots, and of course, Legend Meets Science is about to launch for the 100th time. I swear to God, in my mind, a Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah,
it's just been.
I know way back. This was in the Minnesota Con. You were talking about.
Yeah, don't even remind me.
I've been watching for it.
I swear to God, it's been the universe. I've never had delays like this on any project I've ever worked on, which is kind of like, well, what's going on here? You know what I mean? You kind of start realizing maybe there's a reason. Well, there kind of was, because we really got involved in the skin oil.
Yes.
That these things seem to leave behind on windows. And we started collecting the sebum, which is this more of a waxy white stuff. And then, of course, we found out, gorillas, chimps, orangutans, all these, primates have a different amount of all these different chemicals. Like gorillas don't have cholesterol in their skin oil, as an example. Well, what will a Sasquatch skin oil? Because we are confident we have collected lots of it. Mm-hmm. And there should be sloughed off skin cells for nuclear DNA in it. And you've got the latent details. So it's really 3D evidence. So that's the kind of stuff that's been added to Legend Meets Science too. So maybe the delays have been for a reason.
Wow, absolutely. I mean, like, everything happens for a reason, I believe.
Yeah.
So I know this is a completely hypothetical and stuff, but we talked at the beginning about the tooth for Gigantopithecus,
Yes.
proving that Gigantopithecus existed. Do you feel that you're talking about all this stuff that you're doing with Legend Meets Science 2 in any other animal out there, any other scientific thing? Do you think that your documentary should have been enough? Or should, I mean, the new one coming out, do you feel that should be enough when we're looking at just a tooth proving a species? Don't you think that should be enough to prove a Sasquatch?
Yeah, no, you know what I mean? Let's say we were working on the ivory bill. What is it going to take to prove the ivory bills? We know it existed once. So what's it going to take for scientists to accept it again? Probably the scientist that writes the scientific paper, he's going to have to do the DNA test himself, which is why in Legend Meets Science 2, we've got a number of universities, a number of DNA labs. So nobody can go, oh, that DNA lab, they're no good. Well, what about this university and this and this and this? So we're using a number of, I don't want to make the same mistake that others have made. So maybe, I don't know, might raise it up. But I really think that, it takes a scientific paper that has to be peer reviewed. And does every scientist believe every scientific paper that gets published? No, they don't. But I think it's just most animals aren't controversial. So let's say it was some new bird. Well, it wouldn't be controversial. It's just a damn bird. So they would accept it and go on with their day. But a Bigfoot, an 8-foot-tall primate living in the suburbs and the forest, takes a higher level of proof. So, it's just extraordinary claims take extraordinary evidence.
You're talking about the whole paradigm shift, of the experience, and people just don't want to take that next leap, I mean, you're talking about like the platypus and stuff. I mean, they tried to cut the bill off of that when they brought back the first pelt because they thought this taxidermy thing, and it took a live specimen to, say, here it is, it's alive, look, there it is, before anybody finally agreed that was real. And you're looking at something that's just as weird and bizarre.
I would say, I would put it right in the category of a platypus. It is in that category. I mean, platypuses are so bizarre, and they're such an outlier. They're even venomous.
Mm-hmm.
They're a mammal that lays eggs, that is venomous. It's got a duck bill.
Biofluorescent.
It's got, now they found out it glows under UV light. It's like, really? Anything else?
Mm-hmm.
It's got, duck feet. It's got claws. It's just, eggs. Fur. It's just so bizarre. And I do think that there is that kind of level of acceptance. All I can do and just keep, I can help move the bar down or the ball down down towards the goalpost. Someone's going to have to put it through. It ain't going to be me, but someone will, at some point. It'll probably be you, Barnaby. It's my guess.
I'm too busy doing conferences. I can't. Sorry.
No, that's true. That's true. You're going to have to lay off those damn conferences, Barnaby. You're getting addicted to them.
Yeah, I know.
They're going to put you in the poor farm. You're going to have your house mortgaged. It's like, oh, what happened to Barnaby? Oh, he went down that hole, that conference hole.
Yep. Yeah. On the upside, though, I will say we do a lot of research on the road. When we go to these things, the last one we were just at was the Frogman Festival in Loveland, Ohio.
Yeah,
and 1 month
Loveland Frog.
1 month before we were there, the BFRO posted, actually the day before we left, they posted a sighting a month prior to that of a Bigfoot just down the road from where we were. So we went out that one of the nights that we were down there when it wasn't 60-mile-an-hour winds. Yeah. And we went for a Bigfoot hike, and that'll be coming up on an episode coming up sometime.
Oh, that's cool. So, I mean, it's things like the Loveland Frog title. It's like, oh my God. What's the one down in Iowa, the winged one?
Van Meter Visitor?
Van Meter Visitor. Who in the world was so creative that came up with that name? It was just awesome. The Van Meter visitor. But, it puts chills up your spine.
I mean, that thing, like we talk about these animals that exist and don't exist and stuff. This thing has a light coming out of its forehead, like a spotlight.
Sure. Of course it does.
Like, even if you want to believe in these things, I mean, I can't wrap my head around that. If you're talking about a living, breathing creature, these pteranodons or pterosaurs and stuff,
Right.
okay, that's what it was. If it's a time traveler, whatever the heck it is. But still, why does it have this flashlight on its head?
Yeah, no, it's pretty weird.
Outliers.
And maybe the Van Meter visitor was just as surprised when it saw humans.
Yeah.
There's got to be this dimensional thing that's going on. It really does. There's got to be. They say it's unlimited, the amount of dimensions. I think we grew up maybe way back where it was 3 dimensions, and that's, there's another dimension or one other dimension out there. Now the scientists are saying it's unlimited.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's just a little off, and somewhere else it's the Loveland frog with antennas, and the next dimension it's the Loveland frog with big feet, and the next one he's got hair. Who knows? But I do know I tend to believe people because I've seen enough weird crap to go, I'm not doubting people, because who gets up in the morning and goes, oh, I just saw a winged creature chase my car, really. Nobody gets up, nobody wakes up and just thinks, I'm going to go tell the world that. So I tend to believe people in most cases. It's detrimental.
There's nothing, I mean, skeptically, I want to make that clear that I am a skeptical believer, but I can't tell you that, what you saw is fake and what I've seen is real, just like you said.
Right.
There's so much things that I've seen that, I'm going to believe you. If you tell me you see something, that's your story. I don't know what you saw. I don't know if you were hallucinating or dreamed it or what, but I believe that you had that experience and it was real for you.
Well, I told you my winged creature story, didn't I?
Yeah, actually, last episode, we had Tobias Wayland was talking about the Chicago Mothman. And at the end of it, I said that my next guest had actually seen this winged creature. And I told my audience that if they wanted to hear the story, they had to bring it up. And nobody brought it up. So I'm glad you did. So
I'll bring it up. I don't care.
I would love to hear it again.
Sure. I mean, okay. So we were driving down 35W. And we were coming back from a city called Cloquet. Beautiful evening, full moon, summer night, just perfect weather. And we literally had soft music playing on the radio. We were in my my blue Corvette, and just life is good, right? It was probably, I think it was 2009, maybe the last year I was doing Monster Quest. Maybe a year before the last. But life was good. I mean, I couldn't imagine life being any better than it was. And driving down, and all of a sudden me and Yvette see this thing drop from a basically kind of moon level. It just dropped straight down like a spider on a web from the sky. Huge. I mean, you wouldn't have been able to have seen it if it wasn't huge. And it dropped straight down almost to ground level. We're like, what? And all of a sudden, holy crap, and it was coming right for us, right above the freeway and right towards my car. And we didn't know what it was. Was it an airplane or a craft? But all of a sudden, as it got closer, we could see it was like a humanoid with wings. No feathers, shiny skin, kind of a brown color, black eyes. And it just went right for my windshield. And it got very near the car. And of course, she ducked. And I was driving, so it was a little harder for me to duck. But eventually, when I realized it is coming through the windshield, I ducked. And I mean, this was all, how long? 10 seconds, the whole thing transpired in. And History Channel had been asking me to do a Mothman episode, and I kept refusing because there was no evidence other than eyewitnesses. And we had never done a show. I always had some type of evidence generally, or something we could do to gather evidence. What are you going to do with a Mothman? But after that, I totally humbled out. And right away, I found people in Minnesota that had literally the same exact experience that we did, where their car was basically a attacked, for lack of a better word. I don't know. I wouldn't say anything if she wouldn't have seen it. And its wings were as wide as the freeway, the 2 lanes of the freeway, or very near. I didn't measure them, I didn't have time, but you could see that, it was far wider than my car, and I don't know what we saw. I have no idea. Gargoyle-y, Mothman, I don't know. It didn't have feathers. The eyes did not glow. So I don't know what it was. So where did that come from? Did it come from the woods? I hope not. I'd rather have it be another dimensional creature, because, I still have to take my garbage out at night, and there's things I like to do at night. I like to go camping. I don't want those things roaming the woods.
Yeah.
So where'd it come from? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. But I will say they're real.
Yeah. That's terrifying.
It is.
I go out and look for this stuff, and every once in a while, I'll tell you one story. Up at Hayden, I was walking back on the back part of the property where we think these things kind of like circle around and come in and watch us and stuff.
Yeah.
And me and I can't remember who was back there. It was either Craig or Ethan that night with me. And we're standing back there in this like kind of car turnaround area. And you literally feel something walking through the woods behind us. Just thump, thump. And I'm standing there going, well, there it is. And, you start to think, am I stupid? Like, why am I out here doing this? It's right there, whatever this thing is. And it's big, and you can't see it on thermal. There's too much like leaves and stuff in the way. And I've watched this footage back. You can watch this and hear it and everything on our episodes on YouTube and that. And I watched this back and I go, it never dawned on me to take the 15 steps that it would have taken me to break that brush line, because it used to be they used to hunt back there where this thing was, so it was all cleared out. There was just this like small like 5-10 feet of brush in between where we were in the turnaround and where this thing would have been walking, and it never dawned on me to walk back there and look at this thing. I'm just like, nope, we're close enough. I know you're there, we're good. But yeah,
I don't know.
It's a strange world, man.
Yep, and we've all experienced things like that. I mean, we've experienced the ground shaking, being charged by an animal that we couldn't see. You can hear it coming closer and closer and closer. The ground is shaking as if an elephant's running right on you, and then you bolt because you feel like you're going to get crushed by whatever's. We never see anything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Don't ask me. I have no idea.
Come on, man. 4 seasons of Monster Quest. You got to have this all figured out already.
No, I don't have any of it figured out. But yeah, it's just, we live in a great world, For all we know, this is all just a joke. It's somebody just laughing their butts off.
Absolutely.
Playing a video game going, oh my God, watch Barnaby run.
Watch this. Oh, man.
It's sense of humor. I think the universe does have a sense of humor.
Absolutely. Doug, I can't thank you enough. I mean,
well, thank you.
You're an amazing guy. I appreciate all your work. Like I said, Monster Quest is one of the reasons that I'm here doing this. So I thank you for everything that you've done for the industry, the show, books, all your future work.
Thank you, Darby, or Barnaby. What do I call you, Darby? I was thinking of my DNA guy. Thank you, Barnaby. Your name is so cool, and you're going to be the only Barnaby on the planet left.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell your mother hello.
I will.
Love your name. Anyhow, hopefully we'll run into you this summer here, Barnaby.
Oh, definitely.
And you got to come out. You got to come out to Minnesota and hang out.
Sounds good.
We should do that. Seriously, we'd have a blast.
Awesome. I would love it, man.
All right. Thanks, Barnaby.
Thank you.
Bye. Yep. Bye.
All right, guys. The wonderful and amazing Doug Hajicek. Such a great guy. So much good stuff to say about him. If you guys get a chance to see him, meet him, hang out with him, go check it out. He's got all kinds of cool stuff at his booth and just stories for days. But next week, guys, I am on the road. I am in South Carolina. I am coming back from South Carolina, so I will not be live. But you guys have a treat because I have a pre-recorded show for you that you guys get to watch. It was actually recorded, I think, back in December, and it just hasn't aired yet. But Emily Fleur is my guest next week. She is a cryptozoologist, a Bigfoot researcher from New England, up in New York, I believe, Upper New York, and awesome interview. It's a really good time. It is recorded. Like I said, I'll be driving home, but you still get an episode, and it's going to be good. I hope you guys enjoy it. Feel free to leave comments. I know I will check in as I can driving home, and hopefully Emily will be able to leave some comments as well. So make sure you guys check out next week, Emily Fleur. The Forest Fleur is her website, and you can go check out everything there. So until then, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you out there.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.